And now it's time for Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. For the next 2 hours, join Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, Corey Sandin, and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Royal Polaris, the world's finest long-range sports fisher. By Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, and Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup, man. We have a great show for you today. Captain Tim Ekstrom from the Royal Star is here. It's Corey and myself having a lot of fun today talking fishing. We're going to be talking to you. You stay tuned. You're listening to Southern California's sport fishing voice. This is Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the mightier 1090 ESPN Radio.
The name that stands out among anglers is Fisherman's Landing, your top choice in local and long-range fishing. Hi, this is Doug Kern. Our hard-working crew will make sure your fishing experience is one to remember. We offer the finest open party trips from 1 to 3 days, the best charter boats available, and of course, our world-renowned long-range fleet is second to none. Fisherman's Landing is a full-service operation offering great half-day trips on the Dolphin and full-day open party trips on the spacious and comfortable Liberty. Since we introduced the full-day trips at Fisherman's Landing, the 85-foot Liberty has become a favorite among full-day operations with bunks for your comfort, huge bait capacity, and RSW fish holds to keep your catch fresh. Plus, Liberty has a big modern galley and 2 interior heads with showers. All our open party trips from half-day, full, or 1 to 3 day trips can easily be booked online at fishermanslanding.com or give us a call at 619-221-8500. I'll see you at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
This is Bob Hoots at Costa Sunglasses. Visual signs are a critical part of my fishing program, from bay bass to bluefin. I wear Costas to see what's out there. Costas are built with advanced polarization technology with our 580 lens, designed to cut through the sun's glare while providing enhanced color to see more fish. Costa was founded by a group of anglers wanting a high-performance lens for every fishing application. Costa has a West Coast style frame and lens for your adventures. CostaSunglasses.com.
Want to take your catch from fresh to superior grade? This is Robbie Gant from AFCO. We developed the tools for the EKGMA process. Circuit breaker is specially designed to disable the full length of the fish's spinal cord. The memory-resistant wire of AFCO's circuit breaker will not bend or kink even after repeated use. Take your fish care to the next level with Circuit Breaker by AFCO. Available at a dealer near you or check out AFCO.com.
Like Robbie said, take your fish care to the next level with Circuit Breaker by AFCO. Check AFCO.com or your favorite tackle retailer.
All right.
Welcome.
Yeah, good morning. Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. And always having so much fun when Tim's in studio. And
Well, no doubt,
yeah.
And so much fun stuff to cover. And I mean, we were just joking. We heard that spot from AFCO, them talking about all the fish care, stuff that AFCO now is a part of.
The circuit breaker.
And Tim looks like circuit breaker. I'm like, well, yeah, that's the EKGMA wire. It's like, well, that's a. I mean, I know that's a thing and that's a technique, but really for us, that's a Royal Star thing, And I know that it is migrated and lots of people use the fish care, but like, you guys are what brought that to us, and it's very cool to see there's so much emphasis on putting down a killer product that now commercially available for a private guy. There's a line of products just dedicated to fish care.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I sit here and think about it, and I know we've talked about it before, but for me, undoubtedly, of all the, what is this? I'm 35 some odd years into this, and we've been part of a lot. I mean, our generation, and I say myself, Randy, Brian, Kiyohara, just that group as we came up through long range, we've innovated and advanced sport fishing, long range fishing in so many ways, just by having a perspective that's way more consistent with focusing on, again, the quality, focusing on taking quality fish as opposed to quantity of fish, and it goes on. But the fish, the focusing on the premium quality, the introducing the RSW, the premium quality handling, those standards now, to see that has emanated throughout the entire sport fishing industry, the appreciation of the value of every single fish you're taking. And we've talked about it again, but you're going out there, and the vast majority of us now, it's not just about going out there and clobbering fish, a club over the head and blood. It's a harvest.
Yeah, totally.
It's a harvest, and to appreciate the fact that you're going out there and number one, you're taking this creature, but you're treating it with the respect that it deserves, that it commands. That for me, you guys. Talk about the legacy. I mean,
I hope it makes you proud, because it should.
It makes me incredibly proud of all the contributions. That is the number one. I mean, totally. When I'm dead and gone, hopefully my headstone will say, introduce RSW and Freeman. Because I'm serious, man. Look at it. I mean,
totally.
Tim, even the half day boat.
Exactly.
Tim, that's what I was going to say. It has gone all the way to the half day, 3/4 day, the full day, and up and down the coast,
and now the private boats.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, even like what. And we can say, there's no doubt about it, it started right here. It started on Royal Star. It started in 2003 in Panama, and now it's gone to, far and wide. I just beam when I think about it. And I don't beam because, I want the credit for it. I beam because, again, it's the fact that it's this broad acknowledgement that the product is so incredible, that the opportunity to harvest this product is so unique, and now to actually appreciate it in the form of taking care of it and understanding the value of it as it goes on the table, as you share it with your friends.
Totally.
I mean, think about it.
And you can't get it. Like, you cannot obtain or
that quality.
Or very difficult to obtain a quality of fish that like that comes out of the hatch of the Royal Star. Like, to get that, if you're not catching it on a boat that's providing like that, it's almost impossible to get your hands on product that's that good.
Right, and if you want to, I mean, you're going to pay through the nose for it.
No doubt.
Go down to the shelf there at Point Loma Seafoods or over here at
Tunaville.
Or so, I mean, you're talking $28, $30, $35 a pound for sashimi grade, ahi, whether it's bluefin, yellowfin, whatever. Again, I mean, for everybody to be out there now acknowledging that and appreciating it. I was laughing thinking about the bluefin tuna. What was their it was an East Coast title, but it was back in the early 1900s. They were called horse mackerel. I mean,
really?
They were horse mackerel. They threw them in the garbage. They were junk. They wound up in the garbage bin.
Really?
Catch them. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's wild.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So to see it evolve from that to where we are today, to everybody going out on their skiffs now, and they've got what's the AFCO thing?
The circuit breaker.
The circuit breaker.
Right,
Yeah.
but you've created.
Yeah, hail the circuit breaker. I mean, we've used forever we used the. We just got a piece of 49 strand wire, and then we solder the end of it so it'll go in that where you pull the spike out. If you do it right, which 9 times out of 10, needless to say, we've done it a few times, so we've got it down. You spike it, you pull that spike out, you can fish that thing right in the same hole.
Yes, you can, and Diego can, and Adrian, and everybody else on your crew can, and Randy can, and Brian can, and Alex can. Dude, you guys make that look so easy. And let me tell you, when you're on your skiff fumbling around and the spike didn't land in the right spot and you're trying to fish that thing down, not quite as easy as the professionalism of the guys that do it 2,000. And I pride myself on the way we take care of our fish, and this is not the first bluefin I've seen, and man, you want to talk about making it look effortless how you guys handle a fish. I guess you're right. I guess thousands of times of repetition make it that way, but it is not always as easy as you guys make it look.
Once in a while we'll get one that, if it gets gaffed in the head, it'll crush that neural canal and the other thing is, if you go straight down, I
think that's the biggest problem that people have.
Yeah, straight down, it's got to be angled. At not quite a 45, maybe a 60-degree angle right above the eyes in that soft spot. You go in there, it's again, 9 times out of 10 it goes in there like butter. Sometimes you got to fish around, but if you get one that's just impossible, and I actually got tipped off to it when we were again down there in that port in Panama and watching all the fish that were coming off the commercial boats. Every one of them, I call it scalping them. You go right above the eyes, cut down
about a little wedge out.
Yeah, cut the wedge, and there it is. It's like plain and center. There's that neural canal, and you just fish a wire straight down. But those guys, all of their fish, when they come, they use a piece of discarded long line. And
super heavy gauge mono.
Yeah, huge, like, whatever it is, 800-pound test. So they'd make that little cut and push the thing in, and then they'd leave it in there so the buyer
knows that it was done. That's smart.
Interesting.
So the way AFCO, like, again, theirs is, commercially available for, like, the skiff guy. It's different for you guys because they're not having to handle the fish, moving around, but they promote a lot of it in going from the opposite direction from the tail. Like, they like to take like a 3/4 cut down. So the skin flap is still attached, but you're exposing the spinal column and that neural canal. And the reason is you can fold the tail back and you can physically see it. The spinal cord runs and then you can see the canal right on top of it. So it just gives you an easier target to go from the back going forward.
Right.
But again, doesn't make as much sense when you're having to move fish around. But if you're one guy on a private boat and you've got 2 fish, you keep in a perfect scenario, you keep the skin attached.
Yeah, it's the same thing, going whatever, forward to back to forward.
Yeah.
God, I got sidetracked there thinking about whatever.
I'm so bad at this. I'm the worst with Tim here. Like, I go off on tangents. We haven't even talked about the fish under the boat or anything. Yeah, I like it. I just really enjoy when you're on because it's really fun stuff to get to talk about.
And I'm we kind of get in the weeds here because if somebody doesn't know what we're talking about, it's pretty. It's pretty foreign. Yeah. But I mean, don't you just love that when you run that you spike the fish
watch it happen.
and you run that cord down the spine and you just watch every little finlet just jump and they turn like ice blue or they'll get speckled. It's like
what does that actually do to?
We're gonna have hopefully a fish expert will come in, but as it's been described to me, it
relaxes.
It arrests the decomposition process. So it all the nerves and the nerves that are firing along the spinal column going into the meat, making the meat twitch, and it's dumping lactic acid. It arrests that. So
it just puts it to a complete end.
Yeah, 100%. So there's no more lactic acid getting dumped into the meat, and it preserves the quality of the fish, as is.
From minute one.
From the second you do it. Because even if you just spike it, okay, now you knocked it down, but there's still nerves firing all in the spine. I mean, if you took, for example, if you had a fish laying there, I'm going to get too gory, but you catch it, you put a spike in its head, and then if you took a knife and stuck it in the somewhere along the the loin, whatever, and put your finger in there, you'd feel all you went in like 2 inches, you feel the muscles contracting and twitching. Whereas if you run that cord down the spine, it's
no more
completely knocked out.
No more.
It's all relaxed.
Yeah.
And are you going to notice the quality of the difference in the quality if you throw a steak of bluefin on the grill? You
probably not.
You probably won't because you're not you're not a connoisseur, bon vivant. I probably won't either. But
sashimi.
Sashimi, yeah. I mean, it's a texture thing. It makes such a difference. If you don't do it, it's not like the fish is ruined. It's still premium, excellent quality, fantastic. But when you use that Tanaguchi method and knock it down, I mean, it's just melts in your mouth. There's a texture thing.
The other thing that it does, which, again, we became, we got a little more buffed on that when AFCO came on the ship. They did a bunch of exactly that on that Tanaguchi method. It's like, it's all the steps of fish care, and it's all the things combined. It's not the one thing. It's getting all the blood out of the fish, and it's getting the fish spiked right away, and it's getting the fish killed right away, and it's doing the spike. But the other thing that it does is crazy increase the shelf life that product is good before freezing it. And if where at before, if you cut the gill and you threw it in the cooler, maybe it's good in the fridge to eat for a day or two. Like, this will really extend the shelf life before it quote unquote turns or goes bad before freezing.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, win.
Yeah, totally.
What's crazy? All this being mentioned is, how did we do it any different before? I mean, it's kind of crazy to think.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I'll probably get in trouble for it, but Tarzan used to wield a club and drag Jane around by the hair. I mean, look at where we are now. I mean, it's the same thing. We were cavemen. It just didn't.
But it's just the way it was done, right?
I mean, we didn't know any better. It's just you go into something and you do it the way it was done because it was done that way.
That's what you did.
I mean, the old timers said, hey, this is the way we do it, and that's the way we did it. And then you start thinking a little more, and as you evolve, and really what it takes, and this is true for anything, when you strike out on your own, which we did on Royal Star, got our own business, got our boat. When you strike out on your own, then you start implementing your ideas, your vision, and you have the opportunity to do so because you don't have anybody telling you, no, don't do it that way, or no, this is the way we've done it. You can do it exactly how you see fit.
You said something a couple times in this conversation, and it was the respect for the harvest, and that really resonates with me because it truly is. I mean, you're going out, you're harvesting an 80 to 180 pound fish, and it's just giving it respect.
You guys probably, and our listeners would probably be surprised to know, something about me, like personally. I'm a stone cold killer. I've killed fish my whole life, and that's, but I don't take pleasure in the kill. It's not the killing part of it that drives me. Again, it's the harvest, and I have a profound respect for every single. I feel that as an angler, as a sportsman, as an individual, you have a responsibility to appreciate whatever it is that you're taking. Regardless of whether whatever it is, it's an elk, it's a deer, it's a tuna, it's a whatever. You're taking something, you're ending something's life, and as you end that thing's life, you have a responsibility.
Yeah, you better be using it.
Yeah, you have a responsibility to appreciate it, to revere in the fact that the earth was good enough to give you that thing and provide nutrition for you. I probably have the old like the old natives' respect for the creature itself, and I really do. I feel like we have as somebody who runs a boat, as somebody who now is has a pretty large fingerprint on the evolution of this fishery. I hope to convey that to every single angler. It goes back to what I was saying, and the pride that I have in the fact that now that has been, it's commercialized in our industry, in our fishery. Everybody is of that mindset now, or the vast majority of people are, as opposed to where we were, again, 35, 40 years ago, where it was just the size of the pile.
How many cases of cans am I going to get when this is all said and done?
Exactly. There was just no real, it was just meat coming in and meat going out. And now it's not, clearly.
But your idealism and your thought process is why the Royal Star is so busy. Why you carry so many passengers and people that follow you and Randy and the group there that have that same philosophy, really.
We were just talking about that, the fact that, and everybody, I'm not critical of any of the other vessels out there and how they go, but every boat has its own culture. Every boat, they
totally.
the crew,
That's how we like to do
operate.
our things.
And I have, it's so refreshing. We've seen in the last, obviously the last 20 years. God, it's almost 20 years since we introduced the RSW.
Right.
No, it is, because it's 2020. And in 2003, when we were in Panama, is when we started doing that holding fish in refrigerated seawater. So it's 20 years this year, if you can believe that. So there's been a long period of evolution, but it's especially the last 5 or 6 years. The vast majority of anglers that come fishing on Royal Star, and you guys know we're hardcore. We go at it. It's
like no one else. Yeah.
Yeah. But there are so many times when, let's say, a limit of bluefin, 24 people. You can catch a lot of those things. You can catch north of 120, 150. You catch a lot of them. Most of our anglers, they would not keep that many of those bluefin if you held them down and forced them to. You go out there and the limit is 6, but if an angler goes out there, let's say they're on a 7-day, they're on a 3-day, whatever, and they have a successful night, they catch 300 pounders. Most of our anglers are like, dude, I'm good, man. I got enough of these. Let's go. Hey, can we try some yellowtail? Can we go?
What your cod spots look like around this zone.
Yeah, exactly. They're good. So, my point is, obviously, it doesn't take limits to make a successful trip. It doesn't, and the anglers are the ones I see now who
they're pushing that.
And they self-regulate. They do. The number of, how many times we've come in with actual limits in the last couple of years? I can count them on one hand, and not because we couldn't catch them, because our anglers didn't want to catch that many. They didn't need that many. Nobody needs a single fish.
But Tim, I think everything that you've talked about in the last 15 minutes, the respect and the harvest and taking care of it, an angler has 3 100-pound fish, and those have been treated to the utmost respect level, right? And they're taking home a huge amount of the highest quality they can get, right? So what do you do with, at the end of that being said, I mean, what do you?
It's difficult to deal with. That's a lot of fish.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that's a damn good harvest, right?
Yeah, you go out on a 3-day trip and you come back with 100, 300 pounds. The processing yield roughly 50%. I mean, you come home with 150 pounds of premium, beautiful grade fish that, taken to Fisherman's Processing with the other processors, vacuum packed in 5 mil bags. I mean, that is a primo product for a year.
Yeah, you have to really get after it to get through that in a year. I mean, you've got to really get after it if you're going to go through that much.
I mean, that's a lot of fish, man.
You're not lying.
You got to be dedicated. Family is 6.
You better really like your California rolls and tuna sammies, boy, because you're going to go through it.
Kids, what do we have? Tuna again?
Yes, man. It's a Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday. Yeah, you're having tuna again.
And Sunday. Exactly. Don't forget Sunday.
Oh, that sounds like good times for sure. Hey, we haven't even got into how good the fishing is, and man,
we will.
We are for sure. I know it's some incredible stuff going on, and man, you want to join us? All this great conversation, having Tim Ekstrom in studio is super cool, and I promised I wouldn't let a show go by without you being on the show, Tim, where I thank you and praise you for what you've done for the industry, for sure. And you want to join us, 213-432-1090. That's the number here, direct to the headquarters here at Let's Talk Hookup. Or you can text us via the app, only through the app. You can text us at the show. You'll have a message, a comment, maybe ride the boat. Want to have a comment for Tim or the crew there. When are you're leaving today, Tim?
Yeah, boat's departing on a 7-day. Right now, I see Captain Alex Nutipadab on the bridge. The guys are they're getting squared away right now.
See, this is an unfair thing for the crew, because from the world headquarters, you can perfectly see the Royal Star. So, literally from Tim's microphone, he can say if the job's getting done or if the cell phone's in hand. It is an unfair position to be a crew member right now.
Such good times here in the world headquarters. Again, if you want to join us, 213-432-1090 or text us via the app. We're going to be right back on Let's Talk Hookup on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio.
Are you passionate about fishing and the great outdoors, but not quite sure where to go? Look no further than Queen Charlotte Safaris in pristine British Columbia, Canada. Hello, this is Valerie Hoprich. There's so many reasons to join us on your next fishing adventure. A few of the highlights are fishing in protected, calm waters. Very important. Quality Chinook salmon run all season long. After you've caught your salmon, we're going to go out for the great Pacific halibut, lingcod, rockfish, and Dungeness crab. Our beautiful lodge overlooks Shingle Bay and Sandspit, and it's so easy to get to. Fly from almost any airport into Vancouver and then on to Sandspit. Fish processing, your fishing license, your gear, all included. Just bring that fishing arm and that smile. Let our chef pamper you with amazing meals while our staff gives you wonderful hospitality, all included in your Queen Charlotte Safaris package. Give me a call on our toll-free number, 1-877-815-2892, or go to our website, qcsafaris.com.
For quality, the Islander out of Fisherman's Landing is a favorite among anglers. But Islander Charters is much more than great fishing. The quality of the captains and crew, as well as the great meals and service, speak for themselves. Comfortable staterooms, a super clean and well taken care of boat are just a few of the reasons the Islander is so popular. The Islander specializes in 1.5 to 5 day fishing. Experience the Islander difference. Visit IslanderSportFishing.com. The lighter the bite and the cleaner the water means one thing. Need a thinner leader for more natural presentations. That's where Seaguar Gold Label leader material shines. It's Seaguar's thinnest leader material yet. That means it's even less visible underwater and creates more natural presentations for better catch rates on leader-shy fish. With exceptional knot and tinsel strength, this advanced leader material is now available from 2-pound test for fishing trout in the Sierra to 80-pound test for big yellowfin in Guadalupe. Get Seaguar Gold Label at your favorite tackle dealer or learn more at Seaguar.com.
Offshore fishing is on. Hi, this is Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle, the saltwater tackle professionals. For bluefin tuna and yellowtail, nothing beats the Shimano Talica, the pinnacle of lever drag 2-speed reels. Shimano Speedmaster 2 is also an extremely durable, high-performance lever drag reel for the more budget-minded angler. Both the Talica and Speedmaster 2 feature Shimano's Hagani body to prevent misalignment of moving parts under the heaviest of load. For all your Shimano, visit us at Fisherman's Landing Tackle at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Didn't even mention we're giving away a full-day trip on the Liberty out of Fisherman's Landing. So one lucky caller, one lucky texter.
And speaking of Liberty, we had a lot of fun having the captain for the Fat Tuna, Bob Cook, in the studio last weekend. Very cool that the guys were out here promoting the Friends of Rollo event and the Tuna Wars captain. And a big congratulations to the Liberty, who took down the big win for the Tuna Wars event. Had just such a killer lineup of those big ones. I still can't get over, they had a great shot of the back deck of the Liberty with guys holding all 100 to 150 pounders, standing up. I mean, it literally did. It looked like a shot from the hurricane bank with all these guys holding these big giant tunas. And, man, congratulations.
Super cool.
I think it was the third time in a row Captain Taro and Anibal have taken down the win for the big Tuna Wars. So, congratulations to them and Bob and all the anglers. And again, we say it in fun, but it really is the truth. Like, congratulations to the guys that won and caught the big ones. But really, the winner was just that all of that money is going to send a bunch of kids out fishing, and what a cool promotion that was and is.
Rick, the whole event that Mike Lum and Tim and the whole crew put together, it's just to see that money coming in for the Friends of Rollo and taking kids fishing. I have to give a shout out. There was a young lady that came down by the name of Marianne, but by the way, doesn't even fish.
Okay.
Listens to the show every weekend religiously.
Rad.
Marianne and her friend Martha came down, and she knew if she gave a little bit of money, she could send a kid fishing, to get him off the electronics, to take him out fishing. And she came down just to donate her money.
That was at the captain's reception?
At the captain's reception.
Cool.
That was the most touching thing of the whole damn event.
That's rad.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What a fun event. And, and again, congratulations to Liberty for that big tuna fishing, and how cool that this fishing is going. It's definitely been a little bit of a different year with some ebb and some flow, and not every voyage is guaranteed to see big ones, but the number of big fish that is available right now still just absolutely blows me away. That this was a 2-day trip, but well within 1 day, within full day range even, to see that grade of fish available. It's never going to get old. It's so cool to see so many big ones at home, and there's some good fishing going on right now, Tim.
I could, the quantity of this bluefin round. I'll go back about 2 or 3 weeks, even 4 weeks, where there really wasn't that much fish around. Like when it would show, it was like one good zone, but it wasn't really all that much. Maybe a mile wide. And we were kind of following that one spot of fish around, but you'd see little dabs of it all over the place. Driving around, you see it on the fathom meter, you see little sonar, like all over for like 40, 50 miles. You just randomly see. And I think we talked about it the last time I was on. The old rule of thumb is when you're seeing scattered fish over a broad area, there's a lot of them around.
Okay.
It's just that's the telltale sign.
Got it.
So last week, about 8, 9, 10 days ago now, we started seeing the sign that all that fish is around is starting to get together and come up. And this last round of trip between the last 2-3 days that I ran out west, it's comparable again to something last year where you literally cannot believe there could be that much fish in the ocean.
I love hearing that.
I'm telling you, like you going into these schools that are a half a mile long,
crazy.
Half
a
mile wide.
That's crazy.
And you get into you're chasing it down. There it is. Sonar is absolutely full on 600-foot range, and you've got 30 fathoms of fish under the boat. And you're at the back end of it, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So for a half a mile, mind you, a half mile, you're running down this thing, and the sonar is completely jugged full, and you have 30,000 fish under the boat the entire time.
Okay, so for a half mile from 180 feet worth of tuna.
Yeah, how much fish is that?
That's crazy.
I mean, like, how much fish is
crazy.
How many is that in that school?
And then 3 miles behind you, there's another one just like that. And 4 miles inside of you, there's another one just like that. And 5 miles to the west of you, there's another one just like that. Like, how much fish is that?
Insane.
I don't know. Yesterday or 2 days ago, this stuff all came up a couple days ago. So we were fishing down south because the fish out west kind of petered out, and so we were fishing down south. Not very far. The fish kind of that we were on moved up there past just to the southwest of the Coronados, and then in the afternoon 2 days ago, all of a sudden it was just like this giant float, right? These, again, enormous schools for 10 miles.
Crazy.
Just giant school after giant school, all, running downwind, running to the south. I mean, again, how much fish is that? Thousands of tons. Thousands. Just
unreal. That's so cool.
Unbelievable. And where the hell did they come from? 4 days ago, you're driving around and seeing little dabs and this and that, and all of a sudden the entire ocean comes. And the other thing that's really encouraging now, all different size classes.
That is great.
So there's a school of 20 to 30 pounders. There's a school of 40 to 50 pounders. A school of 150 to 200s, of 90 to 120s. It's all mixed up. There's really a lot of the small fish that's starting to show now, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an indication that, that's the new wave that's come over this year, and you've got all the different size classes that have accumulated. The bottom line is there's a tremendous quantity of bluefin. Availability is fantastic. And now, we get into you start talking about bluefin. Well, it's 9 times out of 10. It's not about finding bluefin. It's about finding ones that want to bite.
Oh yeah, SOBs, man. God Lord.
Oh my gosh. I mean, so yesterday I talked about and out west I talked about all that vast quantity, half-mile long school, 1,000 tons of fish. We caught. We 12 all day long.
Thousands
Crazy.
and thousands of tons.
Thousands.
So, and you caught 12 of them.
You'd swear to God you'd snag one if you just put a grappling hook down there. It's just like, what are they doing under the boat? There's 40 fathoms of fish down there.
And how does an eating machine, like purpose built to do one thing, to swim and eat food, like how does it not yawn and a sardine go in? Like,
how do they pass it up? It's like, why not? Just, grab a bite as I'm going by, all my buddies here, there's thousands of my, that's a win for me. How don't they? I don't know.
And then other times when they do let their guard down and it's just they're rushing the boat and eating every single. Why'd you do it then and why aren't you doing it now? Like,
I'm telling you.
But it's bluefins.
Yeah, and even more maddening is that there'll be 15 or 20 of us on the fish, spread out over a couple miles, and we're all hitting schools, and it's, you hit one and it squirts off, it's gone. You hit one, they come under you. Maybe you'll hook one, you don't hook any. And then a half a mile away, right there, a guy hits, loading up. We got 20 going. It's just like, why that one?
Yeah, totally.
Why that one? Why at that?
I'm not the offshore dude, as you know, not an offshore guy, but you mentioned something like you see spots are scattered out and in smaller groups. Are those more friendly? Like,
typically not.
They're not.
No, typically
they don't want to bite.
Typically, you don't even waste your time with those ones.
Really?
And there's a lot to this, and you figure out that there are certain signatures that you're just wasting your time. Don't even bother. You really got to get into the thick of it to make it pay. Mm-hmm. That's the general rule of thumb.
Into the larger school.
Yeah. And like one of those big giant schools like that, if you run up into the middle of it and stop in the middle of it, or you stop on the back end, here's, I come up on it and, oh my God, giant school, you ain't pulling back. Well, you're on the back end of that thing, man.
It's like the worst side of it all.
Keep right on going. Yeah. I mean, if you get down to the beginning of it, not only
and casually meet them,
nice and easy. Yeah, don't go 30 knots, spin in circles. Yeah, just go nice and easy. You get down to the end of it, and you stop there. Number one, it seems like if you can get the vanguards out there or the forward line to notice you. And
if they participate.
Exactly. Then you've got that whole wave behind you that as they come by.
Oh, we're doing this? Oh, okay, yeah, my bad.
It's time.
I didn't realize we're eating. All right, cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Well, as you
good
can hear,
stuff.
man, I mean, such a great show, such good fishing to talk about, and always so fun having Tim in here. No surprise, the phone lines are absolutely packed. Again, just like Corey said, if you want to get through and join us this morning, 213-432-1090, or shoot us a text on that Let's Talk Hookup app. And, again, like we said, make sure that you include your contact info when you're sending that text in, because if you win that trip aboard the Liberty, we want to make sure to get it to you. And Corey, why don't we get it rolling, get started on the phones?
Let's do it. How about Mike? Mike calling from Torrance. Good morning. Appreciate you joining us.
What's up, Mike? Yo, Mike. Looks like we might have lost Mike there. So how about we grab another, Corey?
How about John? John calling all the way from Texas. Good morning, John.
Maybe we got to settle a little issue out with our phones.
Yeah.
So while we're getting the phones going, we got a great text came through. So, good morning, everybody. Tim, I absolutely love fishing on the Royal Star, and I love long-range fishing for you. I know that the Royal Star from time to time uses puffer fish for bait. Can you explain what the puffer fish is, how you rig them for bait, and how you go about catching them? And that's got to be about the most unique bait that you catch a tuna fish with, because it doesn't look a whole lot like, when they're all puffed up, it looks nothing like other things that you catch fish with.
P. Diddy.
They also included a great photo, of a former crew member holding up a big, giant, inflated puffer fish.
I think that's the one. I got to look at it. We put a picture, I think, on the website. It was.
I mean, there's no other photo. There's no other photo.
That's the
one of Blake staring at a giant, fully engulfed giant puffer fish. It's a pretty classic photo.
So those ones, I know we were at Hurricane Bank and we were fishing them on the kite. So, you presented on the kite. You want to talk about hilarious. So number one, they'll puff up, you put them on the hook, they puff up, and then you let them out there and they deflate. And so you have them out there on the kite, you sit and watch them on the surface, and the number of times I see it all of a sudden, boom, 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 they puff up.
Oh, I'm sure, like,
and then, boom, a fish hits them.
Wow. They're out there just swimming around, not really sure what's going on, and 200-pounders circling underneath like it's like a balloon inflating.
They see,
That's
they see
so
that
rad.
tuna coming, or they're circling around down there.
That's so crazy.
You can't help but feel bad for the poor guy. He's like,
Oh my God.
This is going to get worse before it gets better.
Exactly. But between the kite presentation, we fly line them and sinkers at night. We've caught a lot of fish sinkers at night, and we catch those puffers in the tropics at times. They just swim up. They swim into the light. So the guys are going around with scoops and scooping them up, throwing them in the bait tank.
Is that because it's a better bait than other things, or just because it's available and when you're way out there you use everything you can? Like what about that? It just seems like such an unlikely fish to use. I mean, we're talking, some of these puffers look like it's out of a children's cartoon. It's so opposite the look of a sardine or a mackerel. Or
sure.
What brings that about?
Well, I'll tell you, the first catch that I know of that was made on those puffer fish, we were on Royal Polaris at Clipperton back in like 1986 or 7, 1988, somewhere. I mean, it was a long time ago, and at that time, we only had sardines, or we had anchovies, so you had to catch cabito on the way down, go by the islands, which we caught some, but it was slow fishing. We get to Clipperton, and at night, there's all these puffers around. There's tons of them. So, we were scooping those and putting them on out of necessity, and, just to extend our bait supply.
Yeah, sure.
Man, we started kicking the daylights out of the fish on those things. I mean, like every one was a bite.
No way.
We made an entire catch on puffer fish, on sinkers.
Come on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
that's so
right?
cool. I love stuff like that. I love stuff like that.
It was out of necessity.
Totally.
Like, whatever, put it on. And ever since then, of course, it was like, they eat these things, and whenever they're around, of course, we'll scoop them and put them on. We've had huge success. At times, do they bite them every time? No, they don't. But in particular, Hurricane Bank and Clipperton for sure. Those are the two places
I really like them.
Yeah, where they really hit. I'm sure they bite them wherever else because, and that's part of their natural diet. When we catch those fish, we dress all of them before we put them in the RSW. A lot of times we dress them. They're loaded with puff.
So that's a very common thing to see them blow out of the stomach when you're cleaning them
very
out.
Common.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like those little box fish or something like that. That's part of their natural forage when they're in those tropics.
When those fish are up here, what do you see them like? The fish you're catching, locally Clemente. What's the most common forage that you see in those ones?
The majority of the time, it's that little deep water stuff.
Okay.
Just various, whatever it may be, a little deep water fish, a little
small hake, and
a little lantern fish, little, I mean, if there's red crab around, red crab, if there is some fin bait, you'll see the anchovies, the small anchovy sardines, but not that often. Obviously when they're on foamers, we see more of the fin bait in there. Surprisingly enough, we don't see, especially the bluefin, you really don't see them loaded, gorged with food like you do sometimes yellowfin. I mean, some of those yellowfin, when they go into that bite mode, I mean, you can barely pull the stomach out of the body cavity. They're just loaded with whatever it is. Again, the majority of the time it's deep water, some part of that DSL or squid, of course, for sure. See plenty of squid, little guys, little squidlets.
That's one thing that always trips me out is, those fish so big, your mind's like, oh, that thing's down there eating all these big fish, but it so often trips me out how small of things, whether it be red crab or little teeny fin fish, that this 150-pound fish is full of these little teeny things.
Yeah, well, I mean, they go down there in that that deep scattering layer, during the daytime doing that bounce diving thing. I mean, they just open their mouth. It's like a bucket, and go through there. It's like a baleen whale.
Crazy.
They're just going through, sucking that stuff down.
That's cool.
Hey, all this good talk. We're going to be right back, right? More Let's Talk Hookup, more from Tim Ekstrom. Enjoying all this talk. I have a couple questions for him myself. When we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app, the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio.
Let's talk candidly about long-range fishing. This is Captain Frank DePresti of the Royal Polaris and the Shogun. Nowhere on Earth will you find a fleet of long-range boats like we have in San Diego. We are fortunate to have several top-notch operations to take you to the most productive fishing grounds in the world. We all offer good food, comfortable staterooms, huge bait capacity, and top-of-the-line fish-finding electronics. So why would you choose the Royal Polaris or the Shogun for your next long-range trip? What sets us apart from the rest? It's pretty simple. The boats, the crew, and the service. From the moment you arrive at Fisherman's Landing, the service begins. We help you load your gear and do everything possible to get beginners or seasoned veterans ready to catch fish. When it's time to fish, the Royal Polaris and the Shogun have the edge there too, delivering the two best fishing platforms in the fleet. But don't take my word for it. Come fishing with us. If you want the best, it's Royal Polaris and the Shogun. For more information, call 619-226-8030 or on the web at royalpolarissportfishing.com or shogunsportfishing.com.
This is Captain Art Taylor from Searcher Sport Fishing. Your hook is one of the most important links to catching fish. And at Searcher Sport Fishing, we use and recommend Gamakatsu hooks. The Gamakatsu Nautilus hook is best for tuna. And now with a variety of sizes all the way down to size 4, Gamakatsu hooks are the ones to use. It's important to be prepared with the right tackle when you come aboard Searcher, so that should include Gamakatsu hooks.
It's time for the Power Pro 30-second seminar. I like catching big fish, and I like smaller reels, too. How do I make sure that I have the capacity to land the big one? I fill my reels with Power Pro Max Quattro. It's 25% thinner than standard Power Pro, so you get more line on that small reel. Power Pro has a complete series of highly effective lines, including the brand new Power Pro Depth Hunter Offshore, with different colors every 100 feet. Perfect for flatfall fishing. Want to learn more? Check PowerPro.com.
Safe travel should always include travel insurance. This is Bob Dawson at Dawson & Associates. We offer many different plans, from one-year plans to single-trip plans. Traveling twice or more a year, an annual plan will cover most every trip that you make. Also, if you get injured on a trip, it'll fly you back home or fly you to a hospital of your choice, and it's worldwide coverage once you're 100 miles from home. So call me at 619-990-3068 or go to safariglobaltravel.com.
Let's talk candidly about long-range fishing. This is Captain Frank DePresti of the Royal Polaris and the Shogun. Nowhere on Earth will you find a fleet of long-range boats like we have in San Diego. We are fortunate to have several top-notch operations to take you to the most productive fishing grounds in the world. We all offer good food, comfortable staterooms, huge bait capacity, and top-of-the-line fish-finding electronics. So why would you choose the Royal Polaris or the Shogun for your next long-range trip? What sets us apart from the rest? It's pretty simple. The boats, the crew, and the service. From the moment you arrive at Fisherman's Landing, the service begins. We help you load your gear and do everything possible to get beginners or seasoned veterans ready to catch fish. When it's time to fish, the Royal Polaris and the Shogun have the edge there too, delivering the two best fishing platforms in the fleet. But don't take my word for it. Come fishing with us. If you want the best, it's Royal Polaris and the Shogun. For more information, call 619-226-8030 or on the web at royalpolarissportfishing.com or shogunsportfishing.com.
Safe travel should always include travel insurance. This is Bob Dawson at Dawson & Associates. We offer many different plans, from one-year plans to single-trip plans. Traveling twice or more a year, an annual plan will cover most every trip that you make. Also, if you get injured on a trip, it'll fly you back home or fly you to a hospital of your choice, and it's worldwide coverage once you're 100 miles from home. So call me at 619-990-3068 or go to safariglobaltravel.com.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and a little minor technical difficulties, right? But hey, that's part of a live radio show.
That's
and
what we say, live radio,
right?
man.
Exactly. So welcome back, and all this great conversation with Tim, and hopefully we can get back to the callers as soon as possible. But plenty of text, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And while Christian is steadily making progress forward, getting the phones rolling back, we have a ton of great text messages to choose from. We're going to be taking a lot of those. Again, hang on the phones if you're on hold there. All the mics and John, Alex, Ed, you guys just keep hanging on there. We're certainly going to get to you as soon as we get up and rolling. But in the meantime, text the show is where it's at. And again, that's only available through the Let's Talk Hookup app. It's a free download, easy to find. Make sure you include your contact info, because somebody's going fishing on board the Liberty at the end of today's show, and it might be you as a lucky texter.
What a cool deal that is, right?
No doubt. Well, hey, a good text come through. We kind of started to talk about it before we jumped off the air, and I don't know how much made it through, but this is related to the same thing. It says, good morning, guys. Captain Tim, can you talk a little bit more about the Tanaguchi method? What's involved, and also does it work on other fish like yellows and wahoo, etc.? That's all from Tom in San Clemente.
It will work on other fish for sure. We don't practice it on it. We do practice like everything we spike, but we don't do the Tanaguchi method on anything other than tuna. And in our case, we generally, tuna that are say 40 pounds and over, we do it on. Anything under that, we don't, just because fish cools fast enough, and it's just that's how we go about it. I mean, ideally, like if I were on a private boat, hell yeah, I would do it on every one.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? It's just going to improve the quality of fish. And I completely forgot about the shell fly thing. That is a big component of it. Again, so if you're on your private boat, why not? Doing it on a calico bass, I think that's probably a little extreme, but a nice sized fish,
sure,
a nice sized yellowtail, it's going to improve the quality of it. We were talking about the whole process from beginning to end. And number one thing is we were land the fish gently. Try to get head gaff, land it gently. Don't bang it around, because you're just bruising it. Mm-hmm. Just like you getting socked in the arm, you're going to get a big bruise from it. Same thing. If you body slam that fish on the deck, you don't want to tenderize it that way,
And going back decades, I mean, how many times can we remember somebody gaffing a fish and over the rail and slam on the deck, and
that was the best part. Yeah, right. you get
cartwheel
it as high in the air as you can, and shake the gaff out of it. It does like a triple gainer, and then boom, body slams off the deck. Bounces 2 feet. Yeah,
I hear that, and it makes me cringe.
Oh, you and me
seriously.
You know what makes me cringe? Hearing them flapping on the deck makes me cringe now.
I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, get on that thing quick. So that's the second part of it. When you land it, and also, if you land the fish gently, and this is true 99.9% of the time, when you land it gently, the fish 99% of the time is just going to lay there.
Yeah.
Right? If you slam the thing down, it's going to go berserk, and we all know what that looks like. On those tuna, they start flapping around. It's just a crap show. You got to get on them right away, spike them right away. Spiking them in the right spot is essential also, which I'm, talking about the spiking thing.
Let me tell you, man.
If you just barely graze that thing, and they start doing the funky chicken. Oh my gosh, especially a bigger tuna, you know, so it's just run.
I was going to say, how many instances of, I mean, you guys are no stranger to big ones and you catch them all over the world. Like, what, there has to be some good stories of like, oh, well, here, let me dispatch this 250 pounder, and you don't quite get it right, and then he gets really unhappy on the deck.
Oh yeah.
Clear the ways.
Some you know, the great ones where the thing is just going berserk. You know, one of my more brave crew member just jumps on the thing, you know,
wrestling the thing down.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, we're adept at it to the point where it almost never happens.
Sure.
Now. You know, you get it in the right spot, you center punch that thing, and it's lights out.
You know what was really interesting, having Bob Cook from Wicked Tuna on here, and when they get the jumbos, they actually they put a hook in the jaw and keep them tethered, and actually drag them behind the boat to cool them down.
Yeah.
Like to take the lactic acid down to, you know, a lower level, and then dispatch them.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
This kind of goes along with that, and I thought it was a really great text. It's from Tim. It says, hey, Tim, I know that you have your, the question's for Tim. Tim, I know you have your hand in both catching the fish and processing the fish. What knife do you guys use on the boat for gill and gut? And then at Fisherman's Processing, what's a good knife for that's not too intimidating for somebody who's trying to make their own sushi at home? I know you guys are big fish eaters at the house too. Do you have any recommendations? That's all from David in North County.
David, I'm probably going to have to defer. I'm going to look it up on the internet, the knife we use, because we use that a small, like a short curved knife for the gutting.
I believe it's called a skinning knife is the shape style that they talk about. And I know that there's a couple of them out there, both, you know, Victorinox, which everybody always called the Forstners, and then Dexter makes one as well. But, you know, seeing you guys on the boat, it's a shorter knife than one might think. You know, like a 5-inch blade or a 6-inch blade. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I've got it right here. You are correct. It's a Victorinox. The blade length is 5 inches, and it's a skinning knife. That's the one that we use. We use those exclusively on the boat for dressing the fish. I love that knife for that. I mean, they're designed for that as far as I'm concerned. I know Raymond at Fisherman's Processing, that's the knife that he uses to break down fish also.
Yeah, which is funny because that's not the shape you would think like a master cutter like Raymond uses. But that's it, man. That's the knife that he yields. I think he uses that Anza, like the custom version, but that's the shape.
Right, exactly. And I think you know, for at home, the same, you know, there's a lot of different brands. I know myself at home, I have an old Forstner that I use, like an 8-inch Forstner. When I cut my you know, when I'm breaking down loins, whatever at home, I'm old school in that.
Yeah.
As far as like cutting, you know, actually cutting the sashimi, I broke down. Actually, one of our beloved anglers brought me just a beautiful knife for exactly that purpose.
Cool.
So I think there's a whole range, of course, you can choose from, whatever is comfortable for you. But for the gutting thing in particular on the boat, that's the knife that I would recommend. Those ones,
the 5-inch skinning knife.
The 5-inch skinning knife, Victorinox.
David, we have a great friend who was at Tuna Wars, Jeff Roberto from Sushi on a Roll. You know, friend of all the fishermen, participates fishing on our fleet. Every time there's been a Fisherman's Landing Christmas party, Jeff Roberto's always there and often listens to the show. So maybe we'll see if we can shoot him a text and get his recommendation on a great at-home sushi knife.
The foremost expert.
Right? That's what I'm thinking. Like, if there's a guy that's got the answer for you, both on what is the non-intimidating first one to get, and probably also neither of us are ever going to afford or make that style investment, he'd be the guy to talk to.
And dude, he had a 150 pounder laying in an ice tray and literally like plates after plates after plates of sashimi going out, man. That guy's the master for sure.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, hey, I appreciate that very much. While we're still waiting for the phones, got another text coming through. And this one is, Tim, I'm going on the next trip on the Royal Star. Can you give us a little rundown of what we might expect? And is there a particular jig that I need to make sure to have in my arsenal?
Oh boy, jig. I'm assuming we're talking about the nighttime.
I'm guessing that's what he means. Yeah.
And I'm going to defer to you, Ricky, because you've got a real handle on those jigs. I mean, I've definitely seen there's some of these knife jigs, the fancy ones. They have certainly been out fishing. They've been out fishing, and when it's scratchy, with the, again, going back to that jigging rod, I was talking about it a few weeks ago, like scratch type fishing where we're stopping, there's a bunch of fish, and we're only getting, 4 or 5 fish a stop. Those things have really been, they've been putting the boots to the guys that are just a traditional drop down a flat fall with 150 pound. And, it makes a big difference. So
I enjoyed reading that so much. And again, you talked about it to both. You guys push a lot of evolution, and it made me smile, not knowing if this is the case at all, but like, when you and Randy were young, you pushed the envelope into different things, and I just really smiled thinking that, like, man, is that like another generation of Royal Star? Alex joined the ownership team with you, and that jigging thing is like another thing, and this, we've been catching fish on jigs, but have like a dedicated rod and reel for that type of fishing, and you said it for sure made a difference in how the fishing was.
Oh my!
Is it because of how much better the jig falls? Is it the action of the rod produces the jig to swim, so it swims better on the retrieve? Is it a combination of everything? Like, what do you think it is that's, having that piece of gear was aiding people in catching fish?
The main line, the lighter, no doubt. And the design of that jig, it sinks faster. Like there's no question about it. You don't have that, especially when it's breezy. How if you're using 130 pound Spectra, 100 pound Spectra, using a big
traditional reel rod setup.
Yeah, I mean that thing it just creates a lot of drag. So as the boat's drifting away, as the boat's moving forward, your jig is floating down there as opposed to dropping straight down. So number one, they get down way faster, and I do believe like the action of that rod. And combined with that up and down motion, no question about it, it elicits more bites. I'm convinced of it. I'm not going to take credit for it all. I mean, I'm going to tell you where I really, I looked over there on the bow of the Pacific Queen. They tie up right next to us, and I'm looking at the array of crew rods that they have up there, because every stop they roll into, they got 3 or 4 of their guys.
Sure.
That they're bombing their jig. They hook in hand probably, I don't know, I mean, a lot.
A good portion.
A huge percentage, especially, again, when it's scratch fishing. When it's wide open, everybody's bombing down. They don't have time for that. But when it's scratch fishing, those guys, man, they got it down.
A couple fish on every stop, and it's...
You talking 3, 4, they have it down. And our chef, one of our chefs, Dave, he worked there on Pacific Queen for a couple of years, and he goes out there and he outfishes the daylights out of most of our... certainly most of our clients, and I wouldn't want to be fishing next to the guy. Maybe he looks stupid. I'm not going to say that I'm the best at that. I mean, it gets bites, but there's certainly an element of that nighttime fishing where it's like the great equalizer. That was the impression I had in my mind. Maybe not so much. Yeah. There's obviously something to it, and these methods. I mean, they've been imported from the Western Pacific.
Totally.
The fishermen on the west side, they've been doing this for a long, long time.
And that's a fishery where it's perfected.
And fishing deep too, huh?
Yeah, and I made mention of that in the, when I wrote something about it on our website. We had this group of anglers from Thailand who fished with us for a number of years on those tagging trips and a couple other trips, and they had those same rods. This was back in 2011, 2012, and the method was exactly the same. We were drifting, the tagging trip, we were drifting at Clarion on the outside daytime out there, 2 miles off the island in bird schools, and these guys, they're just getting them on these. And the jigs look pretty much the same.
Totally. But what trips me out, though, is clearly effective because these guys catch them. They catch a bunch. Like you say, look at the guys in the Pacific Queen and night after night, all these big ones. The look of that rod and reel before there's a fish on it, like, man.
It's scary.
There's no way.
It's scary looking.
But it's different.
Yeah, let me tell you another thing about it, which blows your mind. Those, I don't know what it is. I mean, for sure the nighttime fish are real erratic and they don't act the same as a daytime fish, but you just wind those things right through the guides on those little jigging rods. I don't know what it is, man. I'm telling you, it's the high gear ratio. You just start turning the handle, and they just swim right at it. Guys like, Gaff, it's been 2 minutes. You look, it's like,
what do you mean,
Gaff? It's a 120 pounder. a lot of times that happens. So there's definitely something to that also. It's not a coincidence.
Those guys that are very into it and very tackle technique and specific, like, it is very much a rod, reel, lure, line, like all of those things need to work in conjunction with each other, because that is a fishery where it is definitely important to spend the extra bucks on a really good reel, because you're relying on the reel to do a lot more work than you are sometimes in other things. You know, with a rail rod, and everything right, you know, the rod can do a tremendous amount of the lifting for you, and you can be managing the slack and managing the recoil and catch them that way. With those jigging reels, you're requiring the torque of the reel to do a lot of the work for you, because the rod's doing less of the fish lifting. But some of those reels are crazy in how good it is at turning the handle, and you know, every time that thing shakes its head, you're gaining an inch and 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 an inch, another inch and 3 inches and 4, and like next thing you know,
the fish
those add
right
up
there.
to feet, and feet add up to yards, and yards end up to the fish at the bottom of the boat.
But it's the style of that rod, right, Rick? The bend in those rods is what allows for all that head shaking and all this stuff to happen, and you not lose an inch off the reel.
That's exactly right. Those reel, like, they've got it down, man. That torque ratio on those things is just right. It's got a high gear ratio, but they got a lot of torque, and I mean,
handles are real long, and that longer handle's allowing you to get the leverage. It's different, but it's really fun to watch it happening
evolve.
Right now.
It's evolving right now. And you think about Shimano 20 years ago had the butterfly jig.
Yeah.
Right? And the butterfly jig
is the same method again.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, totally.
I think more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a while, but you know, they were at the forefront. You know, they had the idea, it just didn't catch on. And you know, and this fishery, and I you know, again, I've learned to not be you know, just be overly humble. You know, it's like you got to watch what everybody else is doing. You do in fishing, because you can't. You're not going to come up with everything on your own. You know what I mean? There's an awful lot of us out there working at it. You know, and especially, you know, we talked earlier about how in your youth you seem to be a lot more, you know, as an individual, you seem to be a lot more creative, a lot more open to new ideas, etc. So, you know, it wasn't our generation that figured out this nighttime jigging thing. I can tell you that. It was these new guys coming up. You know, it was the guys in the PQ, the guys in the you can help me out.
Well, look at the folding trip of Matt Brallo with the drop shot rig.
Exactly,
right?
That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So, I mean, there's all kinds of other evolving, you know, tackle techniques and the like that you got to be on your A game, man. You better be paying attention. Somebody else starts catching more than you, you know, more than a few times. It's like, man, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, that's cool.
And
I love it on our end on the tackle side, because it's the same thing, and like it's been fun in the tackle store to watch it evolve and also see what's right for our customers. And we really embraced this thing. I just think it's the thing that in a year or two everybody will have something, and I want us to always be on the forefront of those things. But it's fun figuring out which are the right rods and which are rods that are a little bit of a hybrid between the two. Like, which is a rod that still has the lift, but let's face it, all of our guys have fought their tuna with their rod on the rail grip for the last 10 years. So which of these rods have enough back end that you could still rest the foregrip on the rail and maybe turn the handle a little bit that way, versus it's not making the action of the jig move, and which are the right it's just fun. Like, it's a very fun thing to watch something else evolve and be a very effective way to catch fish.
And with all that being said, add the Eddie bomb right in the middle of it.
yeah, technically as you want. And one of the best rigs we have is a sinker with hooks on it.
For sure. And that was, you know, again, it got tagged with Eddie, but there were guys fishing that way before that. Yeah, he did the same thing. He's like, you know,
check this out.
He got wind of it, you know, and you know, great. It's got his moniker, but man, that was going on for a long time before old Eddie slung one of those.
Oh, good stuff, Tim. Well, we're going to try to take our top of the hour break, and we're going to be right back on Let's Talk Hookup. More Tim Ekstrom and the Royal Star when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app, the mightier 1090 ESPN Radio.
In San Diego, the future belongs to everyone. So Ford engineered the truck of the future for everyone, the Ford F-150, available with a Pro Power onboard generator. What a great addition for anglers. There's also a variety of cab configurations for whatever you need to haul. The truck of the future isn't created for just a few. It's created for us who love the ocean and the outdoor life. Ford F-150. Test drive one at your local San Diego County Ford dealer today. They'll be glad to hook you up.
Here's John Ireland for Rancho Leonero.
Rancho Leonero was awarded the Certificate of Excellence from TripAdvisor for 4 straight years. Especially interesting, most hotels are just hotels, and most people stay in the hotel and go do their activities elsewhere. Rancho Leonero, of course, provides fishing, diving, all activities, all meals, your whole vacation. So the fact that we're so highly rated, we're very proud of it. From picking you up at the airport to dropping you off, literally everything is turnkey from there. We make it as easy as we can for you at the ranch. From your meals to whether you're going to go fishing or diving or just hang out by the pool. When you're coming to Rancho Leonero, you are coming to John Ireland's home. I guarantee the best fishing vacation experience in all of Baja. That's unique. There's nowhere that I could think of to get the same experience that you get at Rancho Leonero. Our new reservation phone number is 800-646-2252, 646-BAJA, and rancholeonero.com. It's really unique. It is. We're very proud of it.
This is Captain Brandon Nelson from Lucky Bee Sport Fishing. Our dynamic fishery here on the West Coast is home to some of the most iconic game fish that swim the salty world. We demand tools designed to perform flawlessly and deliver the upper hand in any situation. That's why I use and recommend the all-new G. Loomis IMX Pro Offshore series of rods. It's a full lineup of purpose-built 20 to 80 pound class rods. I have been fortunate enough to be working with G. Loomis on the IMX Pro for some time to help develop the actions we need here on the West Coast. And they nailed it. The G. Loomis multi-taper design technology adds material where the blank is likely to fail and subtracts material where it won't. A C guide train and Fuji reel seat complement a battle-on grip that offers extreme fatigue fighting comfort. They have been helping my passengers on Lucky Bee Sport Fishing land some amazing fish, and now they are ready for you. The new G. Loomis IMX Pro Offshore Rod Series at your local Shimano or G. Loomis dealer.
When it comes to fishing rods for saltwater, there's just one name you need to know: CalStar. Take, for example, the Graphiter series. It's a true graphite fiberglass composite rod, the finest it's ever been built. And for anglers seeking traditional performance, durability, and quality at an affordable price, the CalStar West Coast series of rods and blanks are the ones for you. Their master craftsmen bring decades of rod building experience to every rod they make. So if you want your fishing rods to be truly state-of-the-art, I always recommend CalStar at fine tackle stores everywhere.
This is Captain Tim Ekstrom from the long-range vessel Royal Star. With my partners Randy Toussaint and Brian Sims, we have set the bar for the long-range fishing experience. Spring 8-day, summer 5-day, or fly-down, fly-back 11-day winter trip, we deliver the highest quality long-range voyage you will find. From our premium RSW fish storage to our top-of-the-line chefs and crew, Royal Star distinguishes itself from all others. Want to grab a spot on the Royal Star? Check us out at RoyalStarSportFishing.com or call Tracy at 619-224-4764.